Hey everybody, welcome back to Video Game Esoterica and our continuing series, the Unported playlist, where we now take a look at 21 of my favorite unported arcade games. And today we're taking a look at Chase H.Q. 2 by Taito, released in 2006. It is the sequel to the original Chase H.Q., released in 1988, so this is an 18-year gap between the first game and the second. But this game is super fun to play. It is an arcade racer in the truest sense of the word. It is very simple. You have to ram your enemy's car until the power meter goes down to 0 and you have arrested them. As far as calling this unported, that's really not true because I am playing this on a Windows 10 PC and it is a Windows 10 executable. Granted, there is some trickery involved in getting it to play, but this isn't something that's unported so much as it's never been properly released for any home console or any Windows PC installations. And that's kind of interesting to me because all these arcade operators now use basically Intel-based PCs to run their games. So bringing them home would be quite simple because they're already designed to run on a Windows PC. But you'll see here, the entire goal of the game is to just smash into your target while avoiding everything else. You need to make sure your nitro meter is full because that's going to do more damage as you hit the car, and you do have to catch up to them at certain points in time. But you will see that we have apprehended the first vehicle and we're moving on to the second stage. I do wish this game ran in 16:9, but it is 4:3 here because that's how the game looked in arcades, or at least so I've been told, seeing cabinets. But as the executable works, that is how it's done. I would say that everything controls perfectly. I actually played this using a keyboard, not a control pad, because I was having issues getting the control pad working, and I had absolutely zero issues controlling the vehicle. Everything felt really smooth, and the fact that it works with the keyboard in general means it's going to be really easy for anybody to play. Now, as far as the downsides of this game, or why a port probably wouldn't have been worth it, get a little shortcut here to the small Blues Brothers style. This game can be beaten in under 12 minutes. If you run out of time, you just put another credit in, and you can continue, no issues whatsoever. But from start to finish, the entire capture, I think, was 13.5 minutes, and that was me leaving it on the title screen to capture some audio for the edit as well. So if this was brought home, it would either have to be a really cheap release on Steam, something like $10, or they would have had to increase the gameplay considerably. And you will see there that tire is missing on the rim, and if you do hit the vehicle in the right spot more than once, you can actually damage it and it will start to slow down, making it slightly easier. So there is some strategy involved in how you damage the vehicle to make it either easier or harder on you. And you see there they went through that roadblock. Hitting anything, hitting the guardrails, hitting other vehicles is going to really slow you down to the point where you have to use that nitro to catch up. But I would say they do give you enough nitro to be able to beat the game. I only used, I think, 3 continues total, so say you put $1 into the arcade machine to play this in 2006, it would have cost you $4 to see it from the start to the finish, which, as far as arcades are concerned, is a really good deal compared to some other games that might take a $20 bill out of your wallet for you to be able to see the ending. You see we're getting a little low on time here. The timer's fair as well. I don't think there's any issues with it. I think it gives you enough time. And you can see here that I basically wait till the last possible second to ram them. That was just luck. I wasn't trying to be fancy. But I'll let you watch the next stage pretty much in its entirety without me talking so you can hear the soundtrack. It is quite good. And I will come back and talk a little bit more about Chase HQ after this stage is over. and he has been destroyed. What I love so much about this game is the chase aspect to it. We get a lot of arcade racing games where you're kind of competing against other cars for place or for time, but it's not as common to have this sort of car as the enemy that you need to destroy feel to it. And Chase HQ, the original from '98, definitely started that. And they had other games that were similar to Chase HQ, but the fact that it took them 18 years to get to a sequel is quite surprising to me. I love this game, but I think it would be better if they gave it to somebody like, well, when they existed, Criterion, the guys that made Burnout, because I feel like this game is inspired by that, and they were inspired by something like Chase HQ. And you can see here that there's missiles coming out of the back of that truck, and if you get hit by one, your car gets semi-destroyed, and you lose a little bit of time until you've regenerated. It's a fair mechanic, it makes sense. I mean, games like San Francisco Rush, you could explode the car and lose a little bit of time and place as well. So it definitely feels fair, and it's just a little extra thing you need to worry about. But I do wish we'd see a Chase HQ 3. I think this game would be awesome, especially if you developed it into a full console release. It would even be awesome in VR to see everything move around this quickly, because the game definitely runs at a locked 60 frames per second. The one issue with running it on a PC is that changing the resolution does not really work. You can change the resolution, but it just continues to play in the standard format that it's programmed for, and no resolution I changed it to would make a difference. You might get a 1920 by 1080 window, but it's going to be smaller in that window. So your mileage may vary depending on what GPU you're using or what driver you're on, but I had to play this at the native resolution. But it still looks really good. I've got no issues with the capture. I love this little rain effect that we get here. So the game visually definitely doesn't look modern. It's a 2006 game, and it looked good from there, but it hasn't aged perfectly. But the gameplay in general has aged really well, because this type of arcade action is always fun. And you will see that we use our first continue there, and I do appreciate that you just don't fail the stage, or you don't have to retry it. It's very fair in the way that, give it another credit, it's going to let you continue to play. And I don't like other games as much that make you basically fail, because the original Chase HQ, if you didn't destroy your enemy before the timer ran out, you failed that stage. You could continue playing the game, but you couldn't get the best ending or the best result depending on how well you played. And now we have the super bad. Looks like a Hummer limousine coming up. None of these cars are real, but they definitely look real enough. Interestingly, there is a cel-shaded version of this. Well, it is included in this version. If you press the F key, you can switch from the original cel shading to what you're looking at right now, which is not having that cel-shaded filter on it. I think it actually looks much better in this format versus cel shading, but in 2006, that sort of stylistic look was very popular, so you can play it in either look depending on what you want to do. But short of that, this is an incredible game. You should definitely check it out. It's not hard to find. It's not hard to get running. It's not Supermodel Emulator easy. You know, you're not going to click two things and get it to go, but it really shouldn't test your patience too much compared to some other arcade games playing at home on PC that require a lot of downloads, a lot of different drivers. This is going to be pretty light lifting on your part. If you know how to run any sort of emulator or anything like that, you should be perfectly fine getting this to play at home. I do love the shortcuts they give you too. The game has enough of them. I actually wish there was like a racing mode component to this, where you could see some more of the shortcuts where there wasn't just the enemy vehicle that you're trying to destroy. It would give it a little bit more life. But I do like how this boss here has these other cars driving along with him as defense, and you're kind of zagging in between these trains. It throws up just a little bit more resistance as the game goes on further and you get to different enemies, without feeling like you hit a gigantic spike in the difficulty and it becomes really hard and really unenjoyable to play the game. It's got that great arcade racing action that you're going to want to play, and I can't recommend it enough, especially because if you have even a moderately modern Windows PC, something in the last 5-6 years, you will 100% be able to play this. Now, the disappointing part is the end. There is a level, and you have one chance at beating it. It's kind of like Silent Scope, where you could hit the final boss or you'd miss him. And unfortunately, I don't want to spoil it, but I missed him. But that's Chase HQ 2, an awesome game, 100% recommend it. If you could do us a huge favor, go down below and hit like and subscribe. It takes us a lot of time to make each one of these videos, and we definitely appreciate your support. Short of that, we will be back next Sunday with another Unported arcade game, and we'll have episodes on Tuesday and Friday as well. But we hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend. I screwed that up completely, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.